You're watching SEC Saturday on Mix 104.1 and MixTV.tv, presented by CHI Memorial.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of SEC Saturday, presented by CHI Memorial. We're on Mix 104.1, we're on Talk 101.3 The Buzz, and MixTV.tv as the Tennessee Volunteers will celebrate homecoming on the Hill at noon today. It's a noon kickoff. We'll have it here as Tennessee welcomes UConn. And we welcome, of course, our longtime colleagues, Stephen Shelton and Jason Cox. Shelton, how are you?
I'm doing great. Glad to be back after a Tennessee road victory finally. I'm glad to be back in Cleveland.
And you were there. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But Jason Cox, how's it going?
Oh, it's good, Steve. Good to be here with you today.
Well, great to have both of you. Shelton, let's go back to Lexington last Saturday night. You were there in person. What do you make of it?
Well, number one, if you've never been to Lexington for any sporting event, it's a great little place to watch a football game. I mean, the stadium's small, but it's well designed, well laid out. There's not a bad seat in the house. But I was worried about this game. I think Jason and I talked before the season started. Missouri was really the one I thought we'll win that one. But Kentucky was one that I was worried with. But now you look, more than halfway through the season, Kentucky all of a sudden was not as worrisome. But we just hadn't had a lot of success on the road other than LSU last year. And but we went up there, we battled through some adversity. Milton didn't have any kind of key errors. I thought we ran the ball well. Defensively, we had a couple of miscues, but overall, it was a big-time SEC East win. It keeps us in line to try to win 10 games again this season, and it sets up a really, really big showdown with Missouri here in a couple of weeks.
What about it, Jason?
Shelton, I've got a question. Was this the first football game ever played in Lexington that it wasn't the frozen tundra?
The weather was fantastic. It was about 60. I was in short sleeves. I've been there 4 times, and this is the first time I've never frozen to death. But it was super nice. The weather was incredible. Started misting rain a little bit there at the end, but other than that, you're right. It is normally this time of year is terrible up there from a temperature standpoint, but it was great weather.
Listen, the coldest I've ever been in my life was sitting in at the football stadium there in Lexington.
The Kroger.
Probably 1998, 1999. Just frigid. I had all the clothes I could put on, and I even went and bought some more, and it wasn't warm enough. Listen, you guys have probably seen the meme online with the Undertaker laying flat, and then he raises up, kind of like he's raising from the dead. Joe Milton, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Milton, 17 for 20. 227 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. The guy played great. He got his legs involved. 10 rushes for 26 yards. It was about 50 when you take sacks away, and so just added a new dimension. We've said on the show he needed to run more, and that's just something. I think that helps him get into the flow of the game. You didn't see any wide open receivers just missed. You didn't see any worm burners thrown at people's feet or anything thrown in the stands when somebody's 10 feet out in front of him. Joe Milton made the offense go. The offense played well. But, of course, we really, really got introduced to Dylan Sampson. Dylan Sampson had an unbelievable fourth quarter. But listen, this was a Jalen Wright standing on the sidelines, already having 11 carries for 120 yards and a touchdown. Dylan Sampson put on a running back clinic in the fourth quarter and absolutely took the game over. You don't really see this Heupel offense get the ball with 4.5 minutes to go in the game and run the clock out. I mean, this is probably the first time we've seen that, Shelton.
I think there's been a couple of wins here. Texas A&M win was defense and special teams. Now this is the running the clock out, not having a snap every 17 seconds. So I think this is really a testament to what this coaching staff has been able to do with what they have at this point. And so I know there's a lot of talent sitting there on the sidelines. They're itching to get in, but you're right, Dylan Sampson, especially when you start to look toward next year, Dylan Sampson in that backfield, if we can keep him, Nico, if we can keep him. With this wide receiver core getting a year older, our front seven getting a year older, getting better and better. Really, it's about shoring up the secondary at this point, and I think you could be really good again next year.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
It's SEC Saturday on Mix 104.1, and we're on MixTV.tv. All right, coming up, we're going to look around the SEC, including go outside of it for a few games that we're going to look at. All coming up. It's a big day in the SEC. UT plays UConn. It's a homecoming on the hill at noon today. Noon kickoff right here on Mix 104.1. Our coverage presented by TVFCU will be on at noon with the game coverage. Vol Edwards will join them here in less than a half an hour, and we'll do that at the top of the hour. So stand by for all of that. It's SEC Saturday presented by CHI Memorial. We'll come back to pick some games up next.
Health Break is sponsored by CHI Memorial.
After a stroke, rehabilitation in the first 3 months is essential to regain any abilities that have been lost. Stroke and neuroscience nurse practitioner Trevor Wright explains how CHI Memorial can help.
We have outpatient physical therapy, occupational and speech therapists, for example, at the Hamilton YMCA. We also have home health, where therapists can come into your home to work with you on stroke rehab. Stroke really impacts every area of someone's life and their family, and so social and emotional recovery is a really important aspect of recovery. To support that, we have a support group that meets once a month. It's important to remain optimistic and to take control of everything that you can to, one, recover from the stroke that you've had, and two, to prevent strokes from happening again, reducing that severity of disability so that people can have a good quality of life moving forward.
To learn more, visit us online at memorial.org.
You're watching SEC Saturday on Mix 104.1 and MixTV.tv, presented by CHI Memorial.
Welcome back to more SEC Saturday, Mix 104.1, MixTV.tv, as it's presented by CHI Memorial, along with Stephen Shelton, Jason Cox. I'm Steve Hartline. It's now time to predict some games, have the guys do that. This a interesting game, Texas A&M at Ole Miss. This is also a noon game, just like the Tennessee game. Shelton, we'll start with you.
Well, Ole Miss is 10th ranked team in the nation right now. They're only a 3-point favorite at home, which is a little surprising. To A&M, I still think is playing to see if their coaching staff gets to stay. They are setting at 3-2. They lose this game, they're 3-3 halfway through the season. More than halfway through the season, I should say. They would be 5-4. 3-3 in the SEC, but 5-4 with a few games to play. They lose this, they're 5-4. They still have to play LSU. That would be at least 5 losses, I believe. You finish the year 7-5. I'm not sure if A&M brings back Jimbo Fisher at 7-5.
Well, our
Did you
boy.
pick the game?
Lane Kiffin always pulls a Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin pulls a Kiffin here. I think the Aggies win this game.
Wow, on the road. So, hey, Lane Kiffin's already running his mouth about this game. He's been shooting off at the mouth about A&M having the best roster in NCAA, and they're 5-3 right now, and he would expect more out of them, and just doing what Lane does. I can't see it. Vaught Hemingway's a pretty tough place to play. It is a noon game, so that helps A&M. But I just don't think this Texas A&M team, I think they're mailing it in. I think probably coming to Knoxville and getting beat and probably took the wind out of their sails, if they had any wind to start with. I'm not sure. Give me the Rebels, and I'll take them by 2 touchdowns.
Woof. Okay. All right.
Wow. And, it really surprised me, Shelton. I didn't think when you said Ole Miss is number 10 in the nation, that I guess I didn't read 7-1. I didn't realize that till you said that, really.
7-1, and really, if you take 4 minutes out of that Alabama game, they're 8-0. It was a third quarter, just a meltdown for about 5 minutes, and they lose there. But he is, like him or hate him, the Lane train is full of steam down there right now.
Certainly is. Speaking of Alabama, it is a huge primetime collision tonight when number 14 LSU plays at number 8 Alabama. It's CBS's final SEC primetime game. They get to pick one a year. This is what they picked. Of course, beginning next year, college football as we know it changes, and one of the ways that'll change is the SEC will be dedicated to ESPN and ABC. and CBS goes with the Big Ten. But anyway, until then, this is their big primetime matchup, Jason. LSU, Alabama tonight, 7:45.
I've been wrong a lot on this show this year.
That's the most correct thing you've ever said on this
probably
show.
so. This year especially, my batting average is real low. But I tell you what I'm not wrong on is that to beat Alabama, you've got to have a great quarterback. Guess who the player of the year in the SEC is going to be this year? And I don't think it's close. It's going to be Jaden Daniels from LSU. This guy, his stat line, 163 for 223 passing, over 2,500 yards already, 25 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He is playing amazing. LSU is going to go into Alabama. Jaden Daniels is going to put on a show. If he's not already in the Heisman conversation, surely he is, but if he's not, he's going to vault himself into the Heisman conversation. And there's going to be some Bama tears Saturday night when LSU upsets Roll Tide.
Oh, my goodness. Shelton, what do you think?
Does Jaden Daniels play defense by chance? Because LSU hasn't tackled anyone all season long.
Oh, man.
LSU defensively is the worst team in the SEC, bar none. Probably worse than Vanderbilt, if truth be known. Whoa. They are terrible. In their last, in their last 4 games, one of them being a loss to Mississippi State, they put up 49, but they gave up 55. Then they go to Auburn. Defense kind of gets figured out, or somebody's too busy using his burner phone. 48-18, they win there. Missouri, they give up 39 to Missouri, but they put up another 49. Auburn, they put up 48-18, like I just said. Army last week, 62-0. They can't tackle.
It won't matter.
But guess what? Alabama can't score. LSU goes to Alabama and rolls the Tide. Jaden Daniels throws for 350-plus yards. Alabama is still trying to find out where the football is by the time this thing ends up.
Sir.
Tiger fans, grab that goalpost and throw it in the river, baby. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers, go. All right, I tell you what, a couple of things we're going to do here before we take a break. Number one, I want to go to the Wholesale Supply Group American Water Heater Hot Seat. Of course, Shelton does this every year, especially now we're in the final month of the regular season. It gets really interesting. All right, Shelton, and we'll let Cox kick in here too, but who's on your coach's hot seat this week?
I've got two people that are one's on the hot seat, and one has placed himself on the hot seat because I think he's leaving. Arkansas will be looking for a new head coach at the end of this year. Yeah. Every year, unfortunately, that this coaching staff has been there, they went downhill, and that's because they're having to go out and recruit their own players. Anybody can be good the first year. Ask Ron Zook. Anybody can be good the first year when you're playing with other people's players. I know the transfer portal has changed that dramatically, but Arkansas will be looking for a new head coach, and I believe that Kentucky will be looking for a new head coach because I believe it's time that he moves on. Coach Stoops moves on, and I think there's greener pastures. And some of those greener pastures could be in the SEC before it's over with, but I just think fans there have gotten accustomed to winning 7 and 8 games, which if before he got there they would have died for. But now the expectations have been increased, and I think because they are a basketball school, 8 to 9 wins is the ceiling for Kentucky football forever. And I think that he believes that he can do more somewhere else.
So Stoops, you think will leave Kentucky.
Yeah,
Jason, any coaches on your hot seat?
I mean, it's Sam Pittman. It still is Sam Pittman. It will be Sam Pittman at the end of the season. I disagree with you on Mark Stoops. That they front load that schedule with so many cupcakes where he can get to 5 and 6 wins with no trouble. He's making $9 million. He's making more than Josh Heupel, and I just don't think he's going to leave. And they're not going to run him off winning 8 or 9 games in Lexington. We've established, Shelton. Maybe you missed it. You've been out a lot this year. We've established that's a football school now. Okay, and Tennessee's beating Kentucky in football and 3 times in basketball this year. That's happening too. So there's that. But yeah, Sam Pittman is my guy. He is squarely on the hot seat.
Well, let's talk about a contest that's active right now that Shelton has put together here. A little break from football. This is a unique contest, and as we sit here, Shelton, on a Saturday morning, People have until Monday to register for this with Cleveland Insurance, Water Boys, and Mix 1041. Why don't
Yeah,
you break it up?
you can go to the Mix Facebook page. You can search it. You can, you can go to Steve's favorite web domain now, mixhousewash.com, and you can go there and register. You register,
Genius.
You're getting over a $2,500 package from Waterboys, full exterior cleaning of your home, that roof, sidewalk, driveways, windows, exterior washing. It is the complete package, just in time for the holidays. And also, if you just register, you get $100 off from any service from Waterboys until the end of March. So it's a win-win for everyone. But I believe this is the start of some new tradition that I'm afraid that I started. Stupid web domains that you can remember.
Yeah, thank you. So, Jason, earlier, as we taped this earlier this morning, we were talking about this, and I said, well, Mount Olive's going to be upset because they have a website called MountOliveFootWash.com. So the foot washing services out at Mount Olive. So there you go.
Gotcha.
There you go. MixHouseWash.com. All right, we're going to take a break right here. When we come back, we'll pick our final games. Also look outside the SEC for a game from each of our panelists. More to come, presented by CHI Memorial. It's CHI Memorial. Hello, Human Kindness on Mix 1041. We're on MixTV.tv as well as Talk 1013 The Buzz. Counting down to Tennessee homecoming at noon today. Tennessee and UConn on Mix 1041. Our coverage presented by your friends at TVFCU. And we're back in just a moment.
Health Break is sponsored by CHI Memorial.
Bringing home a new baby is an exciting time for a family, watching the infant learn and grow. But these times bring many questions as well. That's why Dr. Matthew Campbell says that well baby visits with a pediatrician are important.
It's making sure they're growing well, they're developing well, that they have good interaction with parents, siblings, peers. If you can catch things early, you can hopefully minimize and sometimes even reverse some of those delays so that you don't have long-term consequences.
These visits are perfect times for parents to learn what to expect next in their baby's development and celebrate their progress.
The other big piece that we're looking for is making sure from a preventative standpoint that we can keep them safe. So vaccines are something that we do at the 2, 4, and 6 month visit, and again at 12, 15, and 18 months.
To learn more, visit us online at memorial.org.
You're watching SEC Saturday on Mix 104.1 and MixTV.tv, presented by CHI Memorial.
Welcome back for a final segment of SEC Saturday, presented by CHI Memorial. Let's continue our picks here. Missouri, 7-1, the number 12 team in the nation, will be at number 2 Georgia. Number 2 Georgia, and you can talk about that.
No, absolutely.
Georgia 8-0, 3:30 on CBS. Jason, I want to start with you on this one. But first of all, before we talk about the game, what was your reaction to the first college football playoff poll of the season?
Well, I mean, I don't know. There'll be so much fruit basket turnover between now and the end of the season. Those things are just for fun. They're for TV. I will say this. This table seems extra large today. And
Why is that?
And I seem kind of lonely today. I'm kind of lonely sitting here today.
Yeah.
Where is Commissioner Rogers at? I don't know.
Well, as the great ballad Ricky Bobby once said, if you're not first, you're last.
Oh,
and
hello.
So now that they're not number one in the nation anymore, and it's their own fault, talking about cupcake schedules, no one's had a better cupcake schedule than the University of Georgia this year.
And Cox, to say it's just for TV, this sets up the national championship. This sets up the semifinals. How's it just for TV?
How many more weeks away is that?
This is the college football poll that will determine these things.
I know, but what are we, 5 weeks away from that? There'll be wins and losses. There'll be one loss teams. They'll figure out a way to put a 3-loss Alabama in.
I will say, and you're downplaying the segment.
Unbelievable.
The truth is, I didn't even watch it. I don't know.
Well, I
who's
didn't
first
either. I was
or-
trick or treating last night. So
Me too. So yeah, I don't know. I have no opinion.
All right. Missouri at Georgia, Jason. What do you think?
Well, Commissioner Rogers picked Florida last week to upset his hairy
then he's
dogs.
not here.
And now he's not here.
Yeah, that's true.
But they did sleepwalk through the first quarter, and then they turned it on, and Florida never had a chance in that game after that. This Georgia team is getting better, even without their big tight end. This is a stand-up game for Missouri. If you're real, you're going to go into Athens and compete. I don't see it.
Like Slim Shady.
Yeah.
The real one needs to stand up.
The real one's that's right.
Okay.
He's 51 years old last week.
Thanks for running that for me.
So give me the Dogs. They're awake now. They win this one easily. I don't know what's the spread on this, Shelton.
I don't even know what that means. If you look at this game, Steve, it's Missouri has played some decent competition this year. They struggled against MTSU, but they did beat a number 15 Kansas State team. They lost to LSU by 10. They beat Kentucky. They whipped South Carolina. This is the first time, though, that Missouri will end their season at Georgia, against Tennessee, against Florida, and at Arkansas. Georgia, on the other hand, when you look at their schedule, they have played no one, but that's going to change really, really quick. They finished this season today against Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Georgia Tech. That's 3 out of 4 possible teams that could give them a run for their money. 6.5, by the way, is spread. But when you look at this, this team, Missouri, I'm almost still puzzled. We're 3/4 of the way into the season. I'm not sure if they're good or not. I really don't, because I'm not sure if any of the teams they played is any. I know LSU is, but I don't know if they can stop Georgia defensively, and I'm not sure if Georgia defensively, if Missouri's this good on offense, can they slow them down? So, but I don't think they're Georgia top caliber. I think Missouri goes to Athens. They kind of figure out who they are, and hopefully they get whipped bad enough that they falter against Tennessee in the coming weeks. But, give me Georgia at home. I just don't see – I think Georgia's got 2 chances possibly. I'll say Tennessee only because they have to go to Neyland, and I'll say Ole Miss just because those are the type of games that Lane Kiffin loves to pull a rabbit out of the hat. So Georgia has 2 chances to lose all year. That's it.
Yeah, that's about it. All right, so I tell you what, we're going to step outside the SEC. We do this every week since we rebranded. This is the first year of SEC Saturday, but we're going to go outside the league here. Shelton, what game are you watching?
Clemson, Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a 3-point favorite in this game. Dabo's on the hot seat. I'm sorry. I know it's crazy.
I'm going to add him.
But Dabo is on the hot seat only because Dabo could go get any other job in the nation. I think that Dabo is only going to put up with so much over there. He's basically got a lifetime contract, so it's not like he has to leave. But Clemson is going to struggle to win 6 games this year. If they lose this one, 6 will be the most they can win. If they win this one, I think they're still about 7-5. I just think the wheels started to fall off last year at the end of the season. They get just kind of embarrassed at the Orange Bowl. It's just not going Clemson's way. And as I said before we were on the air, universities like Clemson that have been elite and they have built a dynasty over the last 10 to 15 years, the NIL is going to change places like Clemson because they just financially cannot keep up with the big hitters across the college football landscape, and this is the beginning of the end. I told you guys, my father always said, no matter what road you're on, eventually you run out of pavement. I think Clemson's time has come to an end as a dynasty, and it's over, and they've had a great run, and Dabo will go down as the best ever, but I just don't see it.
What's this phone call? I think, was he on a talk show or something, Jason?
Okay, so he has a weekly talk show, and they had a caller call in being negative. And Dabo didn't like it. And he went on this 5-minute diatribe of how that guy's part of the problem. And he went down. He had a lot of good history about how good they'd been over the years. And just, hey, all you naysayers out there need to look at the history and realize what we're doing. He wasn't wrong in all of that. Word has trickled out that Dabo probably planted that phone call. Whoa. And that was all a setup so that Dabo could get out to get that message out.
Well, college football, much like this radio show station, what have you done for me lately?
Exactly.
Exactly. But no, college football is not about what you've done. I mean, look at Alabama. There was cat calls for Nick Saban after one loss, and so I just believe. And Matt Sanders and I went through this, and we won't take too much time out of this. But you're the creator of your own experience as a college football coach. He has created the expectation of excellence. He has been paid to be excellent. So when you're not excellent, you need to have some really broad shoulders because you're the one that brought these expectations onto yourself and your coaching staff and your players. So don't start getting mad now at this fan base that's upset that the expectations that you created are now not being fulfilled because it's you that did this. And it's their job to make sure you get paid, their job to fill the stadium. It's your job to win football games. And unless this guy that called in can be the new offensive coordinator, I don't think anything's going to help Clemson.
Jason, what game are you watching?
Well, I was going to say Oklahoma State, Bedlam. I mean, any game with the tagline "Good Old-Fashioned Hate," I'm in on. I want to see
and
that.
Probably the last one, I believe.
Yeah, probably so because everybody going different ways. But I'm going to pick a different. I'm going to say Oregon State at Colorado because I don't know if you heard this, but apparently Deion's going to play 11 on 7 this week because he just stepped on all his offensive linemen after last week's game and basically said, I can't develop these guys. I'm getting new offensive linemen next year. So those offensive linemen are not going to play for him this week or any of the rest of the season. So he's probably going to be playing 7 on 11, which I think could be really entertaining. So
it could be. I don't know.
It seems, guys, and I think it was somewhat predictable, after these surprising wins for Colorado at the beginning of the year, they've definitely lost some of the momentum, some of the sizzle.
Not only that, but what you've seen is you've seen now coaching staffs that have game film.
Yeah,
and when you have the inability to adjust, Deion's coaching style is going to be go get the best athletes in the world that he can bring to Colorado. You'll get the special players like his son, special players like Travis Hunter. These guys are NFL players without question. The problem is college football is more than, look at Tennessee-Alabama game, it is more than just throwing them out there and saying, let's roll. Yeah. It's about making critical in-game adjustments, and not that Deion Sanders can't, but I'm not sure that he has a coaching staff yet in his coaching tree, because that takes time, that is able to do those, because the head coach can only do so many things during a game. I think now you're seeing that really they're being out-coached at this point. But if he's bringing people like Warren Sapp in, these guys that are really, really smart football guys, then I think that will change over time. But I'm still not sold that Deion Sanders won't be an NFL coach in the next 2 years.
Wow. Our final pick, of course, UConn at UT. It's the homecoming matchup in Knoxville, noon kickoff. Jason, what do you think?
It's 35.5-point favorite. We've seen this before, or Tennessee expects to win big. We're going to play Nico early in the second half, and we come out flat. Tennessee's going to come out flat. They played some really, really tough games lately. They played pretty well. They're going to come out flat. It's not going to be exciting. We're going to be mad next week, but Tennessee will win this game by 21 points.
All right, unless Gino's bringing the girls' basketball team down, they have zero chance in this game. I think this is a game for Tennessee to get healthy because you have, let's take Vanderbilt out of the equation, you have two of the most important games of the year now, Missouri and Georgia. You've got to split those. You've got to beat Vanderbilt, don't get me wrong, at the end of the year, but you've got to split because that will give you a 9-3 season. That will give you a chance to have two back-to-back double-digit winning seasons. I think what you're going to see is a whole lot of running backs. I think the ball is going to stay on the ground. They're going to try to run the clock as much as they can, score as quickly as they can, but I just don't see the ball going in the air very much because I don't see there's any need at this point in the season. Milton's only going to get so much better. These receivers are only going to get so much better, but what you can do is you can get through this game and get through it healthy and then turn your sights to three really important games.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Stephen Shelton, Jason Cox, and Commissioner Rogers hopefully will rejoin us next week. All right, that's going to do it for us.
We out of time? Cornell,
10
Brown.
seconds. Oh,
give
Ivy
us
League
one.
game
Hurry
of the
up,
week.
it's you.
Oh, man.
Come on.
Yale and Brown, and I'm doing that. I'm going to pick Brown from my buddy Ed Brown. There we go. That's it. It's all over. Thanks, Shelton. SEC Saturday presented by CHI Memorial. To the Ball Network.